back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Belbin, also known as the Hatman.
And I'm hoping that we have a good group of questions this week. I actually haven't looked at them. I've been very, very busy these last couple of weeks, so I'm very low on energy right now. Sadly, I still need to wake up. But I will say this: I'm looking forward to answering these because I do remember one of them that was asked in the chat that we sadly didn't get the chance to get to go time to. That I have to admit I did research a little bit, so it's the only one that I know about. So, Hatman, as always, you get to decide. Do we start with entertainment or politics?
Let's go ahead and knock politics out.
All right. So we don't have a ton of these, and we're gonna save the really good one that I saw here for last. So, Eclectic 1995 wants to know, if Trump were elected for a second term, how do we think the left would respond?
Lots more screaming.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they are hell-bent on the narrative that Trump is the worst thing since Hitler, and that he's somehow a reincarnation.
I think it would drive the Democratic platform way more left as a result.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point it'd basically be indistinguishable from the Democratic Socialists at that point.
Yeah.
So, because how else are you going to oppose Trump unless you're going to go in hard for everything that he's against?
Yeah. Full communist, full globalist, the whole nine yards.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That would probably also be the point where they start advocating for or openly advocating for reparations. And I've read some stuff that says that they plan to put it on the platform as early as 2022.
Yeah.
Though if Trump wins, then that's pretty much a guaranteed thing. Probably universal basic income as well. Which of course is just outright wealth redistribution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd probably advocate more for hate speech laws, the outright doing away with constitutional amendments, if not the Constitution in general, just rewrite it. It would radicalize them, I think, because they wouldn't know how to react. Clearly they still have a problem with figuring out why the hell they lost in 2016.
Yeah, we're in this really odd position where the party in general has slid very far to the left, and they really have no desire to come back from it. Because it's no longer, I can't say it's no longer about winning elections. They're still all about winning elections, but they do it through dirty tactics, not through, actually having a platform that people would really want to vote for. They have to disguise it, for better or worse, under emotional appeal and whatnot.
Well, it's not even a disguise at this point. Think about what they've been doing with the push to lower the voting age, for example. That's outright an attempt to change policy because they know that current teenage voters lean left,
mm-hmm.
especially with the March for Our Lives thing. They know that all those voters are going to vote for a left-wing position, will vote for the Democrats there. So they're basically trying to cheat their way into winning elections. Not to mention trying to get amnesty for illegals so they can get the vote, giving them back to prisoners that are serving sentences. It ain't right.
No. They basically want to restructure the entire country so they can keep control of it.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
is it honestly worries me if the left is determined to turn this into Weimar Republic 2.0, because we're getting to that level of divisiveness, and
Hmm.
there's no desire to cross the bridge and to kind of come to a middle ground. I was watching clips from Real Time with Bill Maher, and Jordan Peterson was on there, and Jordan Peterson asked the question, how if you he said to basically a table full of leftists, if you impeach Trump, all of those people, that 45% of Americans who voted for him, are going to hate you, and it's going to make things worse. So how do you heal the divide? And the answers to the question were non-answers. They refused to really give a solid answer for Dr. Peterson, because at the end of the day, they're not interested in healing that divide. They're interested in control. And that in and of itself is a scary prospect. Gone are the days where you have someone like a John F. Kennedy as the head of state, who is about being an American, not trying to redefine what an American is. So it is a frightening proposition.
Hard to say the least.
And another thing for those of you who are international listeners, and I'll probably mention this with the question from Autist Whisperer that I'm saving for later, is that here in the United States, our government structure is set up basically to avoid tyranny as best as possible. The reason that they're freaking out that Trump is replacing all these federal judges is very simple, because they know that those people aren't interested in redefining the American system to be more like the Europeans, where one party can hold control for a very long time, much easier than they can here, and change basically the entire structure of a country the way that it's not easy to do here, only unless you have a loaded bench, which is how Barack Obama got the Affordable Care Act through, or passed the Supreme Court. So this is the game, for better or worse, is they know that if they take America, they turn it into more of a European looking nation, then all of a sudden the Democratic Party is going to stay in control, and they're going to have jobs for the rest of their lives. Because at the end of the day, it is only about power. It has nothing to
Hmm.
do with the citizen at all. The idea that Democrats really give a damn about their constituents is a joke. I live in Illinois. I know that for a fact. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. CT117 asks, do you think that boycotts are pointless, annoying, and has this us versus them mentality when it's done by the far left and far right? I'll say this. They can be annoying. They definitely have an us versus them mentality. I don't think they're pointless, though.
No, so we've used boycotts.
Mm-hmm.
We've advocated for some.
Yes.
I mean, that's how you make a change. Vote with your wallet is certainly something you can do as a consumer.
That's the point
I
of a
mean,
free
that's
market.
yeah, exactly. Bad business practice or a bad stance on something. You vote with your wallet. I mean, it's just like what happened with the Yeti coolers. They basically came out against the NRA, and rival company, I believe Pelican,
Yep.
uh, said that they were going to donate to the NRA for every cooler sold, and all of a sudden they get a bunch of sales.
Of course. And
People will vote with their
to be
wallet.
fair, though, Pelican does make a damn good cooler.
I wouldn't know. I know Yeti is really overrated
Yes,
because
they are.
my sister had at least one of their tumblers. She had one and she hates it. She swears by Corksicle now.
Mm.
But I I'm not about that sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, I mean that's a valid practice that you as a consumer can do. But yeah, I mean it can obviously drive an us versus them sort of mentality, especially um, if it's a political boycott, which is exactly what we're really dealing with right now. I mean, what I just talked about. But think like people boycotting Starbucks for the whole racism thing. We talked about that last week. Um, all the companies that wouldn't pull their NRA discounts, so they got boycotted, and the ones that did also got boycotted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Also saw their
yeah.
stocks drop.
Hmm. I mean, I think a politically oriented boycott is a bit stronger than a boycott for bad business practices, because if it were the other way around, Facebook would be way more in the tank than they actually are.
Yeah.
I mean, their earnings report just came out, and they're doing a lot better this year than they were last year. So, whoops.
Yeah. I really have nothing else to add on that. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Fred Rendell asks, or Reindl, I don't know how to pronounce that, but do we know that there are some liberals going around and saying that the word marijuana is racist?
I did see that.
Yes.
Oh, that is dumb.
Everything is
That's
racist. Ugh.
it's stupid. How in the hell is a plant name racist? It don't make no sense.
It's not called like Negro weed or something like that. Like
No,
what?
it's
What the
not.
hell are you people
Although,
talking about?
well, there's a reason why they changed the name of Brazilian nuts. I'll say that much. Well, that was a anyway. Yeah, if you're in the South, you know what the other name is. But anyway, no, marijuana is not. No, that's about as crazy as the whole calling someone a lizard person is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
That what the hell? Or sleepy eyes? Who the hell was it that said sleepy eyes was anti-Semitic? Was it one of the Parkland kids?
I think.
Yeah, everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic, and they're gonna raise hell about it until people just stop giving a fuck.
Mm-hmm. What a world we live in. All right.
Yep.
It's time to get on to the one question that I find to be incredibly fascinating. Autis Whisper asked, you may need to do some research first, but what are your thoughts on the UK news remembering the Powell River of Blood speech? Is it a case of undermining Brexit? So, Sargon also did a speech recently at the Free Dankula rally in Britain, where he referenced this speech as well, and asked the simple question, was Enoch Powell right? Now, for those who don't know, the Enoch Powell River of Blood speech, for better or worse, is about the idea of unchecked migration to a nation and what it can do, and the ability of the British people to self-determine. And it is not just a British question. For those of you who've never read about it, it is a question that has to be asked of all nations. You know, do you, as a nation, have the right to self-determine who lives within your borders? And a big part of Brexit was saying, yes, we do. And we should have that right. And you have people like EU supporting people like Jonathan Pye even saying, We have a moral obligation now to separate from the European Union. Because if you believe in democracy, you believe that the people have a voice, then they should be able to say, no, I don't want these people here. Now, you might disagree with their motivations, but again, if you say you are for democracy, if you say you are for people having a voice within their own government, then you have to abide by this. You have to. I don't. Here's the thing to Autis Whisperers. The one thing I'm missing is that how they reference the speech. If they are calling what Enoch Powell said in that speech racist or homophobic or what the hell ever, then yes, they are probably trying to undermine Brexit as best they can. But at the same time, I don't know how they referenced it, but there was one thing especially in regard to that is not just the in that speech, it's not just about self-determination, but there's also one other thing that has to be kept in mind is that Powell pointed out is that a nation should never have a people group that is set aside and above other people. They should never hold the whip in regard over a normal citizen, and that is another thing that we have to ask ourselves: is are we going to continue to allow these folks to get special treatment, for better or worse, and thus have a level of control, a degree of control over the average citizen? And again, it's going to depend on how it's remembered. I would think that a speech like that should do exactly what it was. It should, force you to answer a philosophical question that the rest of the world is having to answer for itself as well. Is what are the purpose of borders? Why do we have borders? I have always believed that all men are created equal in the eyes of God. And that's a belief that I don't see going anywhere. I'm not going to go alt-right or something like that. With that said, what we have to accept is the reality of different cultures. Culture is defined by many things, and it's created, in very specific ways. Oftentimes, it is a reflection of the region that it originally comes from. Viking culture, harsh war, constant war. Why? Because their people were scavengers and raiders and warriors, and that's also how their gods were reflected. You listen to, old Nordic legends. I'm playing through the new God of War, and you listen to those legends, and they're harsh, and they sound that way because of how harsh those areas were at, or those areas were. American culture, we are very anti-tyranny, and that's because our nation, was created by defeating a tyranny and getting it away from us. And one thing that we have to realize is that some of those cultures that come about are not going to be compatible with others. That's why wars happen in some cases. And there is a problem within Britain itself where they have allowed the Islamists to crack the whip over your regular citizens. And that's a scary thought, because Islam is not compatible with Western ideas. It's just not. It is a very harsh, overly, what's the word I'm looking for? Strict is too tame of a word. Overly authoritarian, belief system. And when you have Britain, which, though, has had its issues in the past, is also the nation that birthed John Locke and birthed the Liberty Movement. There's a want for independence from the rest of the world. And Brexit obviously was a big showing of that. But, the question that every nation has to ask is, are we going to allow unchecked migration and allow these people to come in and basically tell us how to run a nation that they're not originally from? The answer should be, and always should be, no. And why on earth there are people out there that think that it should be anything opposite from that is beyond me. But I will say this, the leader that allows that to happen is utterly spineless. That goes for Barack Obama, goes for Justin Trudeau, it goes for all the leaders in Britain and in Germany and other parts of the EU and so on and so forth. I don't want Enoch Powell's prophecies to become true for any nation. But the only way to change things is to vote and let your voice be heard. Respectfully, kindly, but firmly. Because that's the way that a democracy is supposed to work. And hopefully more British people get their hands on that. So, that's my thoughts.
Pretty succinct.
No disagreements?
Not really, no. I mean, I don't know the speech myself. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. So I really don't have much of a frame of reference to give you an opinion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the whole self-determination thing. And yeah, I think, a country does have a right to determine who comes in and who doesn't. I mean, that's what we mean by national sovereignty, after all. Being forced to accept people that you don't want in your country, I mean, that's like saying you have to keep your doors unlocked because someone who might need a place to stay can come in your home, and you wouldn't want to keep them out on the street now, would you? Maybe
I would.
Because you don't know what kind of person that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's how it is.
It is so strange that we live in a time where people are willing to throw away personal sovereignty. Well, they say that everyone else should do it, but they don't do it themselves. Mm-hmm. Last I saw, Mark Zuckerberg's mansion is not open to the public.
Neither are Bernie Sanders' houses.
No.
Plural.
All right. Let's move on to entertainment.
All right, let's do it.
So, Hardboiled Entertainment asks, with Marvel selling out to the far left, what are our thoughts on the current state of DC Comics by comparison? Seems to me that DC Comics likes making money.
I don't know, though. They brought Bendis on board.
They did. And Superman is probably going to suck for a while. Because for some reason, that is sort of one of the big mistakes, is that DC assumes that Brian Michael Bendis can really move a lot of comics like he used to be able to. I don't think he's had an issue sell over 100,000 copies since the introduction of Riri Williams, and it was largely hated by people. So.
Oh yeah, I mean that was another one of those. Everybody bought it because they thought it would be a collector's item sort of things.
Yeah. So it's a still though they have other books that are incredible. You know, Batman is killing it. Tom King's Batman is freaking amazing. Most recently, and Hatman, I think you might be interested in this, is they had Booster Gold go back in time and save Bruce's parents as a wedding gift. And it has
oh shit.
Yeah, it has completely screwed up the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
yep.
Tom King is one of those writers that no matter what he writes, I want to read it. I started with him by reading the comic he did for Marvel based on the Vision, and it was a emotional thrill ride, and really just kind of because I've always been a fan of the character the Vision, and it takes Vision to a dark place, but the place that it has taken him, really, really affected me emotionally. I was in the comic with him. It was so intriguing to me, and he really has done a fantastic job with really deepening the emotional appeal of certain characters and fleshing them out more in a way that really other writers have not been able to do. Scott Snyder writes a fun Batman story, but he does not write a deep Batman story. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of character depth there. It's not really a lot of development. Tom King, on the other hand, really digs into the psyche of a character and what they're thinking, and that is what makes him such a strong writer. And that's basically why I've preferred his Batman over Scott Snyder's. It's night and day. Tom King's Batman is one of the few books that I say is must own. On top of that also is Christopher Priest's Deathstroke. Now, I want to do a video sometime next week called We Don't Deserve Christopher Priest. Because we don't. He's so good. He is also a ridiculously talented writer, and he has done a similar thing with Deathstroke. He has taken the character and really pulled his brain apart and shown you what kind of a person that Slade is in all dimensions, and why he is the way that he is. And it's such a fascinating character study. So, yeah, they bring on writers that write good comics. And that's their focus is, we're going to hire people that write good comics. We're going to hire people that sell comics. We're going to hire people that get our comics talked about in positive ways. And that is the business model you want, because it satisfies your customers. Because at the end of the day, businesses are not meant to promote politics as much as some people might want them to. That's not their purpose. The purpose of a business is to make money. And if you lose sight of that, simple fact, your business will fail. And anybody who brushes that idea aside, of course they're there to make money, and then you try to distract onto a different point, no. You go back to that original one, because that's always going to be the point. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that a capitalistic system cares about is the color green. It's the only color it cares at all about. And you lose sight of that, or you purposely try to detract from it, you're a dick. Hatman, anything to add?
Nope, I think you got it again.
Oh, I just woke up and I'm on a roll. I don't know how. Alright, let's roll through some quick ones. Damien X247 wants to know, did we see the issue of Punisher where he has a beer with Thor? No. I haven't heard about that.
Last I heard of Punisher, he had the War Machine armor.
Yeah, that's all I've known. Black Knight Rex wants to know, thoughts on the ludicrous lawsuit PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds developers are having against a company that made a Battle Royale game called Rules of Survival. It's like the Fortnite fiasco, only dumber. Let me guess, they think that they have the rights to a Battle Royale style game.
I wouldn't know. I don't keep up with PUBG stuff or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't play Battle Royale games, so I can't really say that I care. It sounds to me the way it's framed is a frivolous lawsuit, but I'd have to look a bit more into it.
Yeah, seems like it.
Swordsman 100 wants to know, thoughts on Scorpion becoming a regular Venom villain? I think it makes sense.
What, is he trying to get the symbiote back again?
A symbiote. Apparently the Venom symbiote has given birth again.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm fine with
Gotta
it.
get that fix.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think that Gargan, as of right now, doesn't really have a reason to be going after Spider-Man. I'm not quite sure what direction Nick Spencer is going to take the Amazing Spider-Man. I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with white guilt. But the the thing with him as a Venom villain is because Gargan had the Venom symbiote for a while, there is a inborn conflict with Eddie Brock. So, not to mention they've had conflict with one another ever since Eddie was anti-Venom. So that's going to be, I think it's a good idea because not to mention Venom doesn't really have a rogues gallery, and they're wanting to really roll with him as kind of the premier anti-hero of Marvel. Which, makes sense. I mean, they've got the film coming out, and I will do a trailer dissection on that probably sometime tomorrow. Because... Venom! Like, seriously! Venom!
That's Venom. That's my boy.
Yeah.
That's Venom.
Like, that last image, that's Venom. It's actually him.
That is what people have been waiting to see since it was announced for Spider-Man 3. Like, none of this underwhelming fucking That 70 Show discount Venom.
No.
That's fucking Venom.
Like, even the face, like the facial expressions, when he says, "We are Venom." Just...
Yes.
And even better, he looks like the Mark Bagley version of Venom. Which is the best one. Like, they didn't give him this gigantic freaking underbite.
And I saw people on Twitter that were freaking out because, wait, why is he able to shoot tentacles onto his motorcycle and shit? Like,
it's a symbiote.
About to say, do y'all not understand that it can disguise itself as clothes?
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all stupid or something? I like that trailer. That should have been the first trailer for the movie.
Yeah, I would agree.
That should have been the first one. That would have gotten everybody hyped as shit.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that I did notice is that they didn't quite show his chest, but it didn't look like they had put the spider design on it yet. So I'm wondering if they're saving that for a certain point or what. But anyway, I'll talk about the trailer a different video. But yeah, as it stands though, the idea of giving Venom a rogues gallery, I think is a smart idea because systematically over time they have killed off a lot of the other symbiotes. Shriek is no longer around. She was a good one. Mm-hmm. The other Life Foundation symbiotes as well. Riot, Lasher. The others I'm forgetting. But, yeah. At the end of the day, I think it's a good move. I really think it is. Let's see here. Hatman, this one's for you from Eclectic 1995. Have you ever seen a cartoon called The Amazing World of Gumball?
Yes, I have. It's actually not bad. That was one of them that came out around the time that Cartoon Network finally got its shit together and actually started putting out some decent shows like Regular Show and Adventure Time and of course Gumball. And it seemed like just sort of a quirky thing to start with, but it's basically turned into like shit posting the cartoon, and it's hilarious. On top of that, like I really like its animation style too. Like it really plays around with it. Like you've got some characters that are full on like 3D models. You've got some that look like puppet animation. You've got some that look like freaking anime, and then you've got like traditional American 2D animation, and it's really cool. It's really cool what they've done with it style wise. Um, but yeah, it's a pretty good show. I think it's ending this year or next year, which kind of sucks. But at least it's not going to get run into the fucking ground and just beaten to death. But but yeah, it's pretty all right. I like it.
All right, Mr. Monkeylint wanted to know: are the Thunderbolts Marvel's counterpart to DC Suicide Squad? Kinda, sorta. I wouldn't say they're an exact parallel. I mean, just it's a villain team. The difference is that the Suicide Squad is a team of villains who basically have a gun to their head to do a job, and the Thunderbolts legitimately are trying to reform themselves from villain to hero. So that's kind of the long and short of it, really.
If they decided to go down the route of having a villainous team, do you think they would do the Thunderbolts?
Or do you think
they
already
would,
used it. That's
okay.
what Warren Ellis's Thunderbolts was. Ellis's Thunderbolts was more of a Suicide Squad parallel.
Well, I'm thinking of the MCU.
Oh yeah, they probably would.
Okay.
Either that or the Masters of Evil. But
I was kind of wondering if they'd fuck around with the Sinister Six, because I know Sony.
Well, they're setting up for the Sinister Six.
Forever. Yeah.
I mean, well, they've already got like 4 of them, or 4 potential members in the Spider-Man films. They've got Vulture, Scorpion. They introduced Matt Gargan in Homecoming, played by the same guy who played Vos Montenegro in Far Cry 3, which is freaking awesome. The Shocker is established. And then their tech guy in that film is the Tinkerer. Some people may not have caught that. So, but regardless, they've got 3, possibly 4 already set up. And now I think that might be something that they do for like a Homecoming 3. Because apparently the next one is a globe-trotting adventure. And the rumor is that the Black Cat will be in it. Which I think kind of dispels the idea that Sony's Marvel stuff isn't going to cross over with the Homecoming films. Because the next, aside from Venom, the other film that they're doing is called Silver and Black. And it's Silver Sable and the Black Cat. Because people online are thinking that Tom Hardy's Venom is never going to interact with Spidey.
They would be dumb to not let that happen.
Yeah. Both from Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal. And Amy Pascal wants it to happen.
I'm about to say, that's like saying that they don't want money.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that was one of the things that people were hyped about on Twitter about Venom. Like, there was one image that I saw was Spider-Man saying, "I'm not scared of you," and it's that big freaking Venom head. And he goes, "Oh shit!"
Holy shit!
Yeah, that would be a huge mistake on their part. I don't think that they're gonna not do that. Mostly because Sony still has the distribution rights to Spider-Man. Everyone forgets that.
Yeah.
It's like the only reason that Spider-Man is in the MCU is by the graces of Sony. That's it. People tend to forget that. Like they think that Marvel Studios has any rights to Spider-Man. They don't. They had to make a special deal. So, okay, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, very.
Hellblazer wanted to know our favorite cartoon.
Of all time?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know if I can answer that.
For me, I would probably have to say, overall, it is Batman the Animated Series.
That was the first thing that came to my mind, too, just because of the overall quality of it and how well it stands up today.
Well, not to mention, you have to keep in mind, a lot of those episodes were written by experienced comic book writers.
Oh dear God, yes.
Like
not to mention
my favorite,
the impact that they had on comics moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, my favorite episode, Feet of Clay, is written by Marv Wolfman, the creator of Deathstroke.
Mm-hmm.
And if that one, if I remember right, got nominated for an Emmy and might have won.
Several of them were nominated for Emmys.
Yeah, because that series was incredible. Not to mention the voice cast. You look down it and you're like, holy crap! There's a ton of talent here. You know, Ron Perlman was Clayface.
Yep.
Ed Asner was Roland Daggett. And there's others I know I'm forgetting. Oh, Mark Hamill's the Joker, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, and you've got Kevin Conroy as the definitive Batman and Mark Hamill as the definitive Joker. Like,
you don't have Bale's Batman and Ledger's Joker without those two.
No.
They would have no basis.
Hell no.
You know, you go back and you watch Batman the Animated Series, you do kind of see how they set the stage, or how the Dark Knight really pulls from it. That trilogy. You know, the only one that I really think they kind of had a lot of departure with was Bane. So, but yeah, that's my favorite cartoon of all time. I like it. It still to this day, not just holds up. It is wonderfully well done. I have more of an appreciation for it now as an adult than I did as a kid.
And like I said, think of the long-term impact that it had. I mean, Harley Quinn, it's responsible for establishing Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
It's responsible for reintroducing Mr. Freeze with probably one of the greatest episodes of television, not just animated television, but television in general, with Heart of Ice.
Which I believe did win an Emmy.
Yes, it did. That one I know for a fact did.
God, that is pun intended, yes, but it really is a chilling episode.
Oh, yes.
One thing I really love about Batman the Animated Series is that it does something that a lot of DC comics I feel struggled with for the longest time. And that's making the villains relatable and human. And it makes the Batman story much more engrossing when you have a rogues gallery that is they're people. They're not just things to be thrown in Arkham over and over again. These are real people with real tragedies attached to their lives. And it really gives the Batman story this sense of macabre and sadness to it. Mm-hmm. Like it is a tragedy of this existence of all these people. And that's part of, again, going back to the Tom King thing, that's one thing that I think he grabs. I'm really looking forward to, apparently in the future, Tom King will finally write the Joker as the Joker. He wrote him in War, Jokes, and Riddles, but it wasn't the Joker as we really know him. And, you know, when Tom King handles the Joker, I have a feeling that people's minds are going to be blown. But we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have Ledger's Joker without Mark Hamill's phenomenal performance as the Joker in this series. And, you know, yeah, we wouldn't have Mr. Freeze the way he is, and who was it that played Freeze? Oh, Michael and Sarah.
Yes.
What a phenomenal one. Also, this was actually Mark Hamill. That episode was Mark Hamill's first appearance in the DC animated universe as Ferris Boyle.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, of course, later on he took the role of the Joker. Reason being is that the original person that they cast for it was Tim Curry, and he dropped out.
I'm kind of, in a way, bummed. I mean, not like really, because Mark Hamill as the Joker is the absolute best. But I can just imagine Tim Curry as the Joker.
He did end up playing somebody in the DC animated universe. I just don't remember who.
I don't remember who either. Oh, Lordy. Yeah, we'll find it eventually.
No, I'm going to do it right now.
Do it right now? Okay, let's do it.
Let's see here. Actually, he didn't.
He was in Batman the Animated Series.
He showed up as as henchman, and that was about it. So, I could have swore that he played somebody, but I might be thinking of Freakazoid, actually, now that I think about it. Because he was in Freakazoid as one of the villains. And he was freaking hilarious. Tim Curry is a gift to this world. He really is.
He was in Batman Beyond also.
Who was he in Batman Beyond?
Mutrabatho.
Hmm?
Or I don't remember how you pronounce his name. I don't actually remember this episode. Mutrabatho? I believe that's how you pronounce it. From the episode Final Cut. I don't remember that episode at all. So.
Mutrabatha. Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that episode, so. Oh, Young Justice?
Yeah, he did a lot of work in Young Justice. Final Cut is the one where somebody is consistently trying to assassinate one of Terry's friends.
Nope, don't remember it.
Wow, that one was a really good episode. All right, let's finally go to the another great question from the Autis Whisper. What non-superhero comic would we like to see adapted to film or TV? For me, it's one I saw read recently that I thought was really good. I like Scott Snyder as a writer. I don't like him on Batman. Like, it's really weird. I love his Swamp Thing, but the one series that I would love to see him do, or see them do, is American Vampire. That would be my pick in an instant. American Vampire is awesome. Because for those who don't know, Scott Snyder kind of made his bones as a horror writer. And American Vampire is just this interesting and very tense story about this one vampire, this one who is a new breed of vampire, who basically you follow him across time as he has effects on the lives of different people. So it's a really good series. I haven't read the minis yet, one of which was actually drawn by the guy who's doing Batman White Knight, whose name escapes me. Sean Gordon Murphy. So yeah, American Vampire would definitely be my pick. What about you, Hatman?
Sandman. Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Easy. I know they've been wanting to adapt that for television for
and it would
years,
be hard to do.
Yeah, but they could do it. They could do it.
I mean, they're already doing American Gods, so...
Yeah, about to say, Gaiman stuff has translated very well so far. And like I said, they've been trying to get Sandman done for a long, long time. But I think they can do it.
I'm trying to think if there's any others, though, that I would really want to see done. Now I'm just thinking of Swamp Thing. I really would love to see Swamp Thing adapted as well, even though that is a superhero technically.
Oh, here's another one. I think they actually did do some kind of animation for it, or maybe it was like a Telltale thing. But Just Smith's Bone.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
That
Bone
would
and Mouse would be great.
Yes, Bone would be very interesting to see play out on film, or I guess rather that have to be a TV series
Oh
just
yeah,
because of the length of it.
yeah.
But that'd be very very interesting to see.
And Mouse would be intense.
Oh yes. Oh dear God, yes.
Mouse almost made me hate cats.
Almost, but not close enough.
No. Well, we are out of questions.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah. Though, I just realized we've almost gone for an hour.
Huh.
So, yeah.
All right.
Lengthy overflow, plenty of good speeches from me. um, and hopefully everyone enjoys it. And we have to ask, folks, since we have done so much long speeches in this one, please don't forget to share this video. Especially the Enoch Powell stuff. I think that there will be people that will be interested in hearing what I had to say. So, though, we do appreciate the questions, guys. We really do. As always, the podcast will be returning on Saturday, where we should have some interesting things to do and talk about. Other than that, Hatman, do you have any final words?
Yeah. I'm gonna go see Infinity War tomorrow.
As am I. So that is the hype.
Oh yes.
All right. Well, folks, we appreciate you all stopping by. My name is Mikey Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hat Man.
And we will see you guys next week. Dave's Vault.
Dave's Vault.